As I already mentioned, in this lection we are going to talk about LORAs. And before we will have a look how to install them, how to get them, and how to use them, I just want to explain a little bit what exactly is a LoRa and how does it work. In general, in AI image generation, we always have our base model, and the base model defines more or less the general style of the image. And the LoRa is like a refinement of exactly that base model. So it's a further refinement how the output, the image will look like. And there are also LoRa's that are specialized in certain body parts or certain looks, colors, styles, clothing, and so on. And exactly for that reason, we need to know how to install LoRa's in focus, how to get them, and how to use them. And this is subject of this lection. With that being said, let's have a look onto my screen. Good. As you can see, here is a lot of information and it might seem a little bit confusing, but if you pay attention, I can promise you it's super easy and you can totally do this. Here we see a LoRa, or better the information available about this LoRa on Civit AI. We will do this in a minute on the screen, so you will see exactly how it works. But if you go to civitai.com to the LoRa section, you find LoRa's like this. And as you can already see, it's a LoRa about lingerie. And if we want to use exactly that LoRa, we have to get some information to install it in our Google Colab. So basically here are the lines of code and we need to get these two information, the name of the file and this specific number. And if we have these two information, we can use this LoRa in focus to achieve outputs like this, like beautiful lingerie in this case. And how do we get this information? This is what I will show you now on the screen. Now I am at Civit AI, exactly at the page you just saw, and this is the LoRa I already showed you on my presentation. And if you go here to the download button and press it, the download of the model starts. But we don't actually need the file, all we need is the name of the file. I will stop the download now because I already did this earlier and I saved here the name of this LoRa. Then you go back and you press with the right mouse key on that download button and then you click here on save the address of the link. And if you do that and go back to your document program and paste that link, you get a whole link. But all you need here is that number in the middle. So we can delete this and we can delete that. And now you see we have the two pieces of information we need to install the LoRa. And how do we do that? I will show you in my Google Colab. Now we are in Google Colab. At this point you should already be familiar with that starting screen. And we have to paste our lines of code here to install the LoRa. How do we do that? Let's go. First we take this line of code, we cut it out, we paste another line of code here and another one, and then we paste our line of code here. So we moved it from up here to here. And here in the middle, we have to insert now the information you saw earlier in the presentation. So I go back to my presentation and I just copy the link down here. Then I go back to Google Colab, I click on that extra line I just inserted, and then I paste my link here. And as you can see, now we have all the information here in this line of code, and now we have everything to apply exactly that LoRa. After that, we just have to connect our Google Colab and we have to run all these lines of code. After that, we're in the starting screen of focus and we can use and select our LoRa. How we do that and how we select the settings, I will show you later. Now you learned how to download and install LoRa's in focus, but now it gets a little bit more confusing. But I hope to get it clear by using my presentation, and if you pay attention, you can totally do this and follow also this process. So attention, let's keep going. The process I just showed you how to install LORAs in general, because some LORAs of Civit AI don't need a membership, and you can just do this by downloading the information, inserting it into your Google Colab and use it. But there are some specific LORAs that need a membership at Civit AI. And you need that membership to be able to create an API token. And this API token is basically a little bit of code, and you need that code to be able to identify yourself that you have the right to use that particular LoRa. Okay, and how do you find out if you need a membership for using a LoRa or not? Super easy. Whenever you click play here in your Google Colab and you get something like this, username, password, authentication failed, then you know you need a membership at Civit AI to be able to use the LoRa. Because otherwise you don't have an API token and you can't use it. And on the next slide, I will show you how to do that, how to get your API token, and then how you are still able to use the LoRa. So if you go to Civit AI, you have the opportunity to do a membership. If you just sign up for free, you don't have the rights to create an API token. But if you take, for example, the cheapest one for $10 per month, you have the right to create an API token, and this is totally sufficient to use all these LoRa's. You don't need the higher memberships. And if you have this membership and you click on that link, civitai.com/user/accounts, what you also will find in the download section, you come exactly to that page. And if you scroll down, you will find exactly that button, Add API Key. And if you click on it, you will get a huge number like that. This is just an example, but you will get a similar number. And you can just give a name, for example, your name or API key, whatever. Doesn't matter how you call it. The most important is that you save this number and that you don't show it to anybody, because it's basically your personal identification number to use these LoRa's. Good. You take this number, you copy it, you save it. And afterwards, you take this line of code down here. I will also provide this in the download section. And you paste your API token exactly at that point, without any space, without any points, nothing. Exactly how the number looks, you take it and you paste it at that point. And then you save exactly all that construct down here and you paste it in your Google Colab. And now you see the difference between installing LoRa's in general and installing LoRa's that demand an API key. Because normally for LoRa's that don't need an API key, you have here the name of the file and this specific number. And for a LoRa that needs an API key, you have here your API key in the end, and you have the specific number here. But you don't need the file name anymore. So all you need is the specific number of the LoRa and your API key. Super easy. And this is the document I will provide in the download section as well. So here you find a link to Civit AI where you can do the membership and where you can find all the LoRa's. Then you have the lines of code which you can use and change to use normal LoRa's that don't need an API key. And when you install that and then you click on play and there's this message telling you that you need an authentication, then you need to follow this process down here. And down here you find the line of code which you can use to install exactly that kind of LoRa's. Of course, you have to change this number here regarding the LoRa you want to use. And of course, you have to change the API token and change it with your own API token. But afterwards, you can also just take this line of code, go to Google Colab, paste it, and afterwards you can use that LoRa. Good. I hope it was not too confusing. If you still have questions after these lections, please let me know and tell me your questions, and I'm more than happy to help you. In the next lecture, I will show you how to run these LoRas in focus, how you apply them, and how it all works to get very specific results. So stay tuned.